Welcome back to day 30 of the podcast, everyone. Today, we dive into a fascinating segment from the book of Exodus. We'll explore the beginning of Moses' journey, from the oppression of the Israelites in Egypt to his encounter with the divine at the burning bush. It's a story full of courage, fear, and unexpected turns.
That's right. The Israelites were under harsh rule in Egypt, and it all started with a new Pharaoh who didn't know Joseph. Suddenly, they went from being honored guests to slaves, and the tension builds right from the start when Pharaoh decides to deal with the growing number of Israelites by putting them under forced labor. Pretty intense, don't you think?
Absolutely. And it's interesting how Pharaoh tries to reduce their numbers by ordering the Hebrew midwives to kill the male babies. But the midwives, Shiphrah and Puah, they didn't follow orders. They feared God more than Pharaoh. That moment shows us a lot about their character.
Exactly. The midwives were heroes in their own right. They didn't just obey authority. They stood firm in their moral beliefs. And that really sets the tone for Moses' own story later on. Speaking of Moses, his story starts with a very dramatic escape. His mother hides him in a basket to save him from Pharaoh's decree.
Yeah, the story of Moses being placed in the basket by the river is so symbolic. It's like he's literally being sent on a journey of survival, and it's Pharaoh's daughter who ends up finding him. She's moved by compassion, despite knowing he's one of the Hebrew children. That's the first sign of God's hand in the situation, don't you think?
Definitely. Moses' survival wasn't by chance, and his sister Miriam plays a key role here too. She suggests to Pharaoh's daughter that she find a nurse for the baby, and it's Moses' own mother who ends up nursing him. It's almost like divine intervention working behind the scenes.
I love that part. It's such a clever twist. And it's also a reflection of how sometimes the smallest actions can set in motion something much bigger than we can imagine. So, Moses grows up in Pharaoh's palace, but he knows he's one of the Hebrews. Then, one day, he sees an Egyptian beating a Hebrew, and in anger, he kills the Egyptian.
That moment must have been a huge turning point for Moses. I mean, he grew up in Pharaoh's house, but witnessing that abuse was enough for him to take matters into his own hands. It's interesting because while his intentions might have been good, it wasn't the right way to handle things. That's where his story really starts to shift.
It really does. When Moses tries to break up a fight between two Hebrews the next day, one of them calls him out saying, "Who made you a prince and a judge over us? Are you going to kill me like you killed the Egyptian?" That's when Moses realizes that his actions are already known, and he's in real danger. So he flees to Midian.
And that's where Moses' journey takes a new turn. He's far from Egypt now, trying to leave his past behind. But what happens next is interesting. He helps some women at a well, and they take him to their father, Jethro. This is where Moses meets his wife, Zipporah.
Right. He marries Zipporah, and they have a son named Gershom. Moses, now living in Midian, is kind of starting fresh, but it's also a bit of a humbling moment. He's gone from being a prince in Egypt to a shepherd in a foreign land. That transition has to have been difficult for him.
It must have been, but that time away from Egypt is key to his growth. While he's living in Midian, the king of Egypt dies, and the Israelites continue to suffer under oppression. They cry out to God, and God hears their cries. This is where we see the beginning of God's plan for Moses.
Exactly. God remembers the covenant he made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and now he's ready to act. Moses might be living a quiet life in Midian, but God's plan is about to pull him back into Egypt. And that's where the burning bush comes in.
That moment at the burning bush is unforgettable. Moses is out shepherding his flock, and then he sees this bush burning, but it's not consumed by the flames. I mean, that's just wild. And when Moses goes closer to check it out, that's when God calls out to him, "Moses! Moses!"
The way the bush just burns without being destroyed, it's like a sign that this moment is divine, beyond the ordinary. And when God calls Moses, he tells him to take off his sandals because the ground is holy. It's a reminder that Moses is standing on sacred ground.
It's such a powerful moment of connection. God introduces himself to Moses as the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and Moses is immediately struck with fear. But then, God shares his purpose. He has seen the suffering of the Israelites, and he's come to deliver them.
This is where Moses starts to question himself. He asks, "Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt?" And this is the moment when God reassures him, saying, "Certainly I will be with you." It's not about Moses' strength. It's about God's presence and power.
That's the big theme here, isn't it? Moses may feel inadequate, but God assures him that he will be with him every step of the way. And God even gives Moses a sign. When he brings the people out of Egypt, they'll worship God on this mountain. It's a powerful confirmation of God's plan.
Yeah. And Moses asks God a key question. What should I tell them when they ask who sent me? And God responds with one of the most famous lines in Scripture, I am who I am. It's profound, right? God is beyond definition, beyond time. He is the eternal, self-existent one.
It's such a profound revelation of God's nature, and God tells Moses to say, I am has sent me to you. It's a name that carries weight, depth, and mystery. And from that moment, Moses knows he's about to embark on an incredible mission.
This whole scene is so rich with meaning. Moses goes from feeling small and uncertain to knowing that he's the chosen instrument of God's plan. And it sets the stage for everything that follows. His confrontation with Pharaoh, the plagues, and eventually the Exodus.
Right. It's the beginning of the journey that would lead to Israel's freedom. And the fact that God doesn't give Moses all the answers up front, that's part of the journey too. Moses will have to trust God every step of the way.
Trust seems to be at the heart of Moses' story. It's a theme we'll keep seeing throughout his life. But here at the burning bush is where it all starts. God's plan unfolds, and Moses becomes the leader who will eventually lead Israel to freedom.
It's a story of redemption, not just for the Israelites, but for Moses himself. He's called out of a quiet life into one that will change history. And it's all because God saw the suffering of his people and decided to act.
And that's where we'll leave it for today. Moses has received his calling, and from here on out, things are going to get intense. We'll see how he faces Pharaoh, how God works miracles, and how the journey toward freedom unfolds. But for now, we can reflect on this moment, the moment Moses steps into his purpose.
Absolutely. It's a powerful reminder that even when we feel small or unsure, God can use us in ways we never imagined. Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll pick up right where we left off next time. See you then. Blessings all.